Relationships can be challenging. How do you know when it's time to walk away from the relationship? Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. This is Mizan, where we talk about relationships, good or bad, and how to become the person you're created to be. But today we're going to talk about how to know when it's time to walk away from a relationship. That's a good question. How do you know when it's time to walk away from a relationship? There are many, many different signs. And here's the thing. When we get into a relationship with someone, we don't want to walk away. We don't want to let go because we've invested so much time, energy, emotions into this relationship because we want it to work. So we're doing everything we know to make it work. And so to walk away, it's like, man, I've invested so much of my life, so much of my time into this relationship, so much of who I am, I have invested into this person. The last thing I want to do is to walk away from it. I want to salvage it. I want to do whatever I can to make this work. But sometimes it's just spinning your wheels, and sometimes it's just you need to cut your losses and move on. So today we're going to get into a few of those things, a few signs that may give you an indication that it may be time to walk away. The first one, and there are many signs, but I'm just going to give you a few, maybe 4 or 5, to kind of jog your mind and make you kind of look at the situation and wonder, if this is maybe you and your relationship. Okay, so the first one, they do not want to talk about the relationship. I mean, that's a huge thing. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to talk about the relationship. So when you try to talk to them, they get irritated. They say, hey, well, let's just schedule a time that we're going to talk. So, you go through that and you schedule this time. And so when that time comes, they avoid it. They say they got something to do. They got somewhere to go. They're too tired. They're very irritated. They don't want to talk about the relationship or the problems that you guys are having in the relationship. That's a huge, huge, huge indication that this person may have checked out. Because when you have a relationship, of course, everything's not going to be perfect. I mean, everything's not going to be rosy every single day. And there are going to be some issues and there are going to be some disagreements that you both are going to have. But you both have to be willing to talk about it. And one person cannot hold a relationship together. There's just no way. You both have to be all in. So when they say that, they don't want to talk about it, or they're avoiding you, they're avoiding the subject, they avoid you altogether when it's time to have that discussion that you even planned, they still don't want to have that discussion. That is a huge sign that they don't want to talk about it and that it may be time to move on. Number 2 is that, let's say you talk them into going to counseling, some type of counseling, relationship counseling. And you talk to your partner into going to counseling. They get there, you had to convince them. That's a thing. You had to convince them to go. They get there to the counseling. They get there and they're not participating. So all of the questions that the counselor is asking, you're the one that's answering all the questions, and you're the one that's completely and totally engaged in this discussion with this counselor. And they're just kind of, sitting there, watching the clock, hoping that this will hurry up and be over because they really don't want to be there. You may think because they agreed to go that this is a sign that they want to work things out, that they are interested in salvaging the relationship. Not necessarily. They may have went to keep you quiet so that you'll shut up, so that you'll stop bothering and bugging them about this relationship and this discussion that they really obviously do not want to have. So they're there, they're not participating, they don't want to be there. This is a sign, that maybe it's time to walk away from this relationship. Number 3 is you guys no longer sleep in the same room. They've moved out of that room. They're in another part of the house. This is if you guys were cohabitating or if you were married, and they moved into another room. I mean, they don't even sleep in the same room with you. They don't sleep in the same bed with you. and you guys are not intimate and have not been intimate for a long time. When a couple is no longer being intimate with each other, this is a problem. This is a problem, that there's something going on in this relationship that really needs to be discussed. This is a problem that's saying that somebody doesn't want to be here anymore. When you no longer want to touch each other, when you no longer want to embrace each other, when you no longer want to be intimate with one another, you're checking out. You're checking out emotionally. You're checking out physically. You're checking out emotionally. At this point, they may just be in the house with you. You guys may just be cohabitating, and that's about it. They're there, but they're not there. They're there, but their emotions are somewhere else. Their mind is somewhere else. They're just there in body, and that's it. But other than that, they're just there. You know, that's a huge sign. It's a huge red flag that this person has checked out emotionally. You cannot build a relationship with somebody that don't want to be there. I don't give a care what you do, how many discussions that you have. If they've already checked out emotionally, they just don't want to be there. And there's nothing that you can do to convince them. You know, you may have these talks with them that they don't want to have. Say, you know, we spent all this time together. We've spent all this energy building this relationship. We are attached to each other emotionally, and they're just looking at you like, you know, they're not even there anymore. Because the truth is that you're attached emotionally, but they may not be. And I know that really, really sucks so bad. I know it sucks so bad to be emotionally attached to somebody and the other person is just not. They're just not. And you wondering like, what happened? We had this great thing. And, you know, sometimes, you know, relationships end. Sometimes, you're going down the road and all of a sudden this person took a detour and went in another direction, emotionally, mentally. And so it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you, that they no longer want to be a part of this relationship. It just means that it ended. And it also may be a blessing to you that it's ending. Because sometimes we hold on to relationships that ended. We hold on and we stay in dead-end relationships that should have long been over. I mean, man, you could stay in a relationship for 10 years and it was over 5 years ago. Come on, we know this. We've been through this. I've experienced this. You stay in a relationship that's way too long and it's been over a long time ago. And so now you're doing what you're doing now is trying to piece it together. You got the glue and you're trying to glue it back together. Piece this little piece together. Piece this little piece together. And it can't be put back together because it's ending. And here's the thing. God may be ending it. So this may not be, oh my God, this is over, but it may be a blessing. This rejection may be a doorway that God is opening to push you out of this dead-end relationship into something that he has for you, something better, someone better that he has for you. Usually that's the way it's going because he knows that you would hold on for dear life. You would hang in that thing forever just because you're just that type of person. You're committed. You're committed to the end. I'm all in. What do they say? You're ride or die. That's who you are. You're the ride or die kind of relationship, the kind of person. You're just that ride or die type of person. But sometimes you need to let go and move on. Let that thing end. It's dead. Let it be dead. It's, what do they say? Stop beating a dead horse. It's dead. Stop trying to resurrect this thing. It's dead. And the best thing that you can do for you and for the other person is to let it be dead. Sometimes things die so that something else that's brand new, that's blossoming can come into your life. Sometimes just because this thing died, does not mean that there is a resurrection going on over here that God has for you and wants to bring into your life. But sometimes you got to let go of what you have in your hand already so that you can step into this new thing that he has waiting for you. I saw a cartoon one time, and it was a little girl, and she had this little teddy bear in her hands, and it was a cartoon drawing, and Jesus was knelt down in front of her, and she has this teddy bear, and he says, "Give me the teddy bear," and she says, "No, I like it." But behind his back, he had this humongous teddy bear. It was like huge. It was bigger than the little girl that he wanted to give her this beautiful gift. But she was holding on to this little bitty teddy bear. He said, "Just give it to me. I'll give you the big teddy bear." And that happens so much in our own lives. We're holding on to things that are so dead and so over. God has this beautiful blessing, this beautiful person waiting for us, looking for us, has been praying for us, searching high and low for you. And they can't come into your life because you have this dead thing going on in your life. And you're so afraid to let go because you're thinking like, well, if I let it go, what if I don't meet anyone else? If I let it go, what if I'm going to be by myself? Darling, you're already by yourself. Sweetheart, you're already by yourself. If you're in a relationship and the other person's not willing to work it out, you're already by yourself. Okay? You're already by yourself. Number 4, you don't love them. That's number 4. You don't love them. You sat down and you really examined this thing, and you're just not in love with them anymore. You care about them. You care about what happens to them, but you're just not in love with them anymore. And that's okay. But why try to stay in something and glue and put Band-Aids and glue on a relationship and you're not even in love with this person anymore? But you've invested the time. That's not enough to keep the relationship together. So you're not in love with them. That's a huge indication. Guess what? They may not be in love with you either. They don't even want to have a discussion. They don't even talk about the problem. So that may be an indication that both of you need to let it go and move on. Okay? So that was number 4. Let's go to number 5. Number 5 is you have no peace. This is a huge thing. You have no peace in this relationship. You want to avoid going home, and you see that they're avoiding coming home because they don't want to be there. You don't want to be there because you feel so uncomfortable that the home life feels like a battleground all the time. You come home, it's a battleground. You know, you don't want to say anything to them for fear that they're going to be irritated. You know, they don't want to say anything to you because they're avoiding having any kind of conversation with you. You're just two people that may be living in the same house, just passing each other every day. I pass you in the hallway, going to the bathroom, pass you in the hallway when I'm going to get something to eat, going into the kitchen, pass each other during the day, going to work. This is another indication that this relationship has ended. It's an indication that it's ended. You have no peace. And guess what? Your peace of mind, your emotional peace, your mental peace affects everything in your life. It's going to affect your job performance. It's going to affect your health, your mental health, your emotional health, your physical health. If there is no peace, it can affect your physical health. It can affect your blood pressure. It can affect you resting and sleeping. And then that can affect so many other issues in your body because you're fatigued, you're exhausted. So this thing of not having any peace in your relationship is crucial. This is a critical thing, that there is a huge problem in this relationship. It's a huge sign that it may be time to let it go. Move on. God has something great for you. God has something wonderful for you. Sometimes we have to, walk by faith. Step out by faith. Step out of that broken relationship. Step out of that relationship. Walk away from this relationship by faith and believe God that He's going to heal our emotions. Believe God that he's going to heal our bodies, our mental and emotional state, because we've gone through a little bit of trauma in this relationship and the trauma of letting go. I know that it's hard. I know that it's not an easy thing to walk away. You've gotten used to them being there. You've gotten used to their company. You've gotten used to them being in the house. You've gotten used to them just talking to them on the phone, just knowing that they're a part of your life. You've gotten used to that. But they were just there in the body. They're no longer there emotionally. And so holding on to a relationship that has ended can only bring more pain and more turmoil and more confusion into your life. Therefore, compounding on your emotional health, your mental health, your physical health, and your overall well-being and peace. So holding on longer and staying in something longer than you should ultimately is only going to bring more hurt and more harm to you and to the other person. So do yourself a favor and think about it. Think about if it's time to walk away from this relationship. Go back and listen to what I've said in these 5 points, and really examine your relationship. Examine it closely to see, does your relationship fall into any of these categories? And if so, maybe it's something that you need to consider. Maybe it's time for you to think about it and say, maybe I think that it may be time for me to let go. Stop beating this dead horse. Stop trying to resurrect something that shouldn't be resurrected. Many times we're with people that we picked, God never chose. And we just picked this person and God never picked them for our lives. And so here we are with people that we were never supposed to be with. People we married to people we were never supposed to marry. Man, this happens every single day. So take this time, think about your life, think about your future, think about this current relationship. And if you fall into these categories, walk by faith, step out, and, end this thing. Move on. If this video brought any value to your life, hey, maybe you need to send this video to someone else. Maybe you know someone else is going through this same thing, and maybe they will benefit from hearing this video. Send it to a friend, send it to a coworker, send it to a family member that may be going through this, and maybe this will help them and benefit them in some kind of way. So this is all I have for you guys today. Look, if this video brought you any value and helped you in any way, click like and subscribe, and click the bell for notification of the next video that I will upload. All right, I will see you on the next video.